some personal attention and some affirmations. So that's the plan, and to kind of accommodate is probably the wrong word too. I don't find the word, but I've got some tingles with me. One of these things is this little thing, which I can only use once I have grown out my nails for a certain size. Length. As always, there's cars outside. Then I have this. Which still doesn't really give off the best shaking sounds, but it's good, I think. I have another container. And then I have a small pair of scissors. Which is my favorite pair of scissors for ASMR purposes. And I have two gums, which we can use, but not for now. So that's the plan. Kind of some background tingles. I think it was Fast ASMR who first called them background tingles, or at least the first video where I saw someone call them background tingles, and I think that's just a very, very good word for that. So some background tingles while we kind of give off some positive vibes, you know. And I think every good personal attention and affirmation video needs some hand movements, otherwise it's just half-baked. Now, of course, others are still valid, but I think hand movements do make personal attention videos much better. Much better. Much better. Okay, but let's get to the gist of it. I always do very specific personal attention, very specific affirmations to tell you that there's always something that's good about you, because everybody has little quirks or some little things that they themselves really don't know about that are absolutely wonderful, that are very, very special about only them. And that's really what makes a person interesting, what makes them wonderful once again. And it's all about the little things, the little things, the tiny things. For example, you might have a strand of hair hanging always, so maybe just going away from the rest of your hair, if you know what I mean. Just this one strand of hair, maybe, this one strand of hair that you hate that hair because it never fits in with any of the stuff that you want to do with it. But this is one of the things that is just so amazingly cute, that is so amazingly characteristic, and that's one of the things that I think is amazing, that I think is very affirmation getting worthy of affirmations, worthy of praise, worthy of compliments, and everybody has this, and you have this as well. You have this as well. You have these little quirks that are absolutely lovable, tell you about mine, but I'm confident that some people around me could tell you about some things that I always do that are funny, that are good, that are just characteristic for myself. And maybe about you, maybe when you set up the table, when you put out the dishes for the table, you always do it in the same order, and that order is just very untypical. You know, you always put out the juice first, if you have juice, or the drinks, and then the glasses, then the forks, then the knives, and then the plates. I start with the plates, but that's kind of what most people do, and maybe you don't. I don't know. Okay, but talking about all these background triggers, and I don't even use them. So, really you could find some of these quirks in any situation. It doesn't matter where you are or what you do. Another thing, when you write stuff by hand, which is done less and less. But if you do that, or when you do it, you know, the type or the way in which you write your capital F, which is, if you ask me, one of the hardest letters to write beautifully. That always just makes your handwriting very unique as soon as there's a capital F in it. Because if I see that F, then I know, look at that F, that must be you. You must have written that. So if you were to threaten me anonymously, you shouldn't do it by hand. You shouldn't write by hand. I'm personally a huge fan of handwriting. My own handwriting is quite neat, I'd say. And maybe yours is not. That's also fine. As long as you can read it. If no one else can read it, that's your secret language. Another thing, what I like about you, when we go and get some energy drinks or other beverages, really, that are in what's it called? In metal containers, in cans. When we get out and get some drinks that are in cans. I mean, one, you are able to not look dumb while you open it, unlike me. I always look like an idiot when I open cans. And two, when you open them, you don't rip off the open thingy. You leave it on, but still it somehow is always in a position where it is not annoying while you drink. You know what I mean? Because when I don't rip it off, it's always annoying me, and when I do, then it's off. I mean, not a bad thing, but I still enjoy the visuals of a can that has been opened and you can see it. If you know what I mean. well, everybody has their quirks and behavior. Everybody has little things about their looks that are amazing in some way, even if you don't think so. For example, you might have some, I have dug my own grave here because I don't know what they are called. Moles. I think that's the wrong word. These black spots, let's call them spots, okay? Spots. Spots might be the spots on the face. Doesn't matter, we call them black spots, okay? Black spots. The things that are not annoying, you know, that are just there. I have a lot of these. I have them here, and I have one here. Stuff like that, okay? You know what I mean? You might have one on a very, very funny, very cute place. Maybe just behind your earlobe. So that if you wear a earring, it might just touch exactly that black spot. Because my posture is terrible, and it is, to be fair, very difficult to find people with good posture. Just to tell you, this is how I should sit. When I sit like this, just because I'm used to it, I'm not comfortable, I guess. So maybe when you sit down in an unusual way. Or maybe you even sit down in the usual way. Like you put your hands down first, left hand first, then right hand, and then you just sit down. There's things about that you don't notice, but others might find absolutely charming. A lot of people tend to delve into the thought that they might never find someone who will appreciate them, but I think everyone will find someone. I mean, as long as you're not an absolutely terrible human being, but even then, let's be real. Even terrible human beings found love and found other people who appreciated them, just because they were quirky in some way, I guess. Okay, let's put the next two together because we don't have that much time left. If you hear any sounds that kind of sound like the house is gonna fall down, it's a neighbor who's walking around upstairs. And the funny thing is, the neighbor is actually an old woman, and she's very, very nice, and I don't know what it is, but she also doesn't really walk heavily, but the walls or the floors in this building just, they really emphasize that she is walking. So maybe you speak another language. I know a lot of Americans and British people tend to learn a language at school, but then kind of, or in school, but then kind of don't really use it, forget it, because I mean, everything is done in English at the moment. But maybe you do know another language, or you learn one, or you're not even from the US or Great Britain, because then you probably learned English at least. And if you understand me and are not from an native English-speaking country, of course there's also India, South Africa, and a lot more, so please don't feel offended about that. But if you're from a not English-speaking country and you understand me, then of course you know a second language, don't you? So when speaking another language, there's some people who speak them perfectly, but that's a very little, very small portion. And to other people it might be cute how you struggle for words, like I do so often. And some people might find that funny, some people might find that adorable. About you, about you, about you, not me, about you. You, about you. Or maybe you have this little pronunciation thing where you pronounce something a little bit different than it is supposed to be pronounced, but it doesn't matter because you can still be understood. As long as it doesn't annoy anyone, it really doesn't matter. Or as you get greater, because that could be annoying too. But maybe that's just one word or something. Maybe you say closed cloud. Why ever? Or maybe you just can't say the word pedestrian or negligible. And let's be real, that is a difficult word. Negligible. Maybe you say negligible. I'm certain that there are people out there who find that an interesting quality, a funny little thing, and they know if somebody talks and says negligible, they will always think about you, because you are someone who always does that. Or you are someone who always does that. And that's a good thing. That's a very, very positive thing. And, well, I think if you know of little things like that, little things, little things, you should own that. Nobody is a perfect human being, but a perfect human being would be kind of boring though, wouldn't it? And on top of it would be boring, would be quite too predictable. Imagine the perfect being. And that is why we all have our little quirks. Quirks. What a fun word, isn't it? what you like less first, and then what you like at the end, kind of to keep what you like best for the finale? Or do you always eat a little bit of all? Because I do that. And I think that is probably the most common way to eat. Is it? Probably is. But then again, these are things that you don't really think about that much. Message, I'm going to slowly leave you to go to bed now, because it is late and you should probably sleep. And even if it's at midday and you really have to do stuff, now you might want to sleep. Sleep, 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 sleep. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and that you had a wonderful time, and that you have a wonderful rest of the day or rest of the night, depends on when you watch it, of course. I will see you again on hopefully Saturday, but as you have seen in the last two videos, I always tend to be a day late, so it might be on Sunday, but hopefully on Saturday. I'll see you then.